Hello, LinkedIn India. This is Ankit Vengurlekar. A big warm welcome to all of you to this brand new LinkedIn Live of Get Hired India, our flagship show here from LinkedIn News India that my colleague Dipti Jain and I co-host and co-anchor. Today's conversation is a very, very exciting one. So we're really excited that you're joining us. And please make sure that you keep sending your highs and hellos in the comments and also meaningful questions once we start conversation with Harsh Jain. Now, Harsh has been a difficult man to get hold of. I've been chasing him for well over a month, but I totally understand why. Dream11 and Dream Sports is doing exceedingly well, especially in the last 1 year. So today's conversation is going to be around online fantasy sports and specifically what it is to work at what it is like to work at Dream11 and Dream Sports, and what are the kind of job and skill prospects in this relatively nascent industry. So without further ado, hello, Harsh Jain. Welcome to Get Hired India.
Hi, Ankit.
Harsh, I think you just muted yourself. I think, yeah, you
Uh,
can have the audio controls and you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
no, it says unmuted.
We can hear you now, loud and
Okay,
clear.
sorry. Thanks for having me, Ankit. And no, I think around IPL, everyone goes into a tizzy, as you would know. So this is like times where the whole company is into a 24/7 mode.
I can imagine. I can imagine. No, thank you so much. Appreciate you making the time. Harsh, I actually want to start with this one post that you made 9 months ago, in which you pretty much summed up your journey. 12 years ago today, you write, we started working on our dream just a few months before the world fell apart with 2008 financial collapse. From there to becoming a unicorn and having Dream11 plastered across jerseys, stadiums, television advertisements in IPL 2020, amidst what was the most remarkable and extraordinary year that the world has ever seen, the pandemic year of 2020. Talk to us where you are today, 9 months from writing that post, becoming a unicorn and becoming, having Dream11 plastered all over television channels with IPL 2020.
Yeah, I think it's been a a very interesting year to say the least, right? It's um, it's been a year where we saw that we've went from survival mode to how do we, sports is coming back, how do we start growing back again, to then thriving, right? So I think, like, right around March, when, like I said, that the world, collapsed and all COVID brought about a stop in all sports. What happened was that for fantasy sports, which is only focused on real life sports matches, it meant a complete stop to our business. March, April, May,
Absolutely.
June, there were like no sports in the world, right? Very barely. There were like, we went and found Nicaraguan football and Tajikistan basketball and
My
Belarus
goodness.
football that the Indian consumers consumed because they were so sports hungry, right? You go
Right.
from like preparing to launch IPL in March to no sports worldwide is like a 180-degree change. And so we went from that to actually like about July, August, the world getting back to a sports world, getting back to a little bit of normalcy, launching sports tournaments again, to then getting the opportunity to proudly become the first Indian sports sponsor, title sponsor of India's greatest sports tournament, which is the IPL. I think the journey has been phenomenal. It's been a roller coaster. And I think, when I wrote that post, it was also about what the last 13 years have taught us of how to survive during these kind of, like, if you may call it force majeure, right? It's like this situation, this unnatural situation that came about throughout the world suddenly, and how to not only be able to survive, but when those opportunities arise, be able to grab them, like the Dream 11 IPL. And so it's been a very interesting last year. And we decided to say that, look, because we've been able to build a sustainable revenue model and were able to conserve cash, we could easily go through the COVID troubles, where, unlike other gaming, right, where they are based on simulation gaming, They were able to actually thrive from day one of pandemic. We were not able to because we are based on real life matches. And so at that point, we had to take a step back and really start focusing again on rebuilding, on fixing a lot of backlog issues, and hiring aggressively so that we knew that 6 months later, when sports returns, we'll come back much stronger.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Let's actually take a back seat. And for everybody joining in right now, for the uninitiated especially, if you could give your elevator pitch on what OFS is, on what online fantasy sports is, and an elevator pitch. I mean, I can't imagine I'm making a person who's just become, probably, I don't know, millionaire or a billionaire because of your company becoming a unicorn. I'm asking you to make an elevator pitch for
Then
Dream Sports and Dream 11.
all of us have to have an elevator pitch ready for every new consumer that comes on to Dream11, right? You need an elevator
Fantastic.
pitch, to convince. We have only, when I say only, it's, take it with a pinch of salt, but we have only 100 million, which is like 10 crore users on our platform out of 800 million people in India that watch cricket, right, every year. And so
Wow.
we have, we have less than like 12, we have about 12% market penetration.
Penetration.
So we
Correct.
have to still convince like 70 crore people to
So
come
go
onto
ahead.
our platform. So
Go
yeah, I
ahead.
think, look, Dream 11 is a fantasy sports game, which means that it's a place where you get to be a selector. You get to predict who's going to play well in the upcoming real life match. And based on your ability to create a team just like a real selector, and based on their performance in the upcoming real life match, you get points in the game. You can compete with your friends, family, colleagues, and strangers to see whose team was the best. And based on that, you can either, win bragging rights in free contests, or you can also put in real money and win real money out, as it is a legally approved format by the Supreme Court of India as a game of skill and protected by the Constitution of India as not gambling and betting. So I think it's all about user engagement, sports fan engagement, and that's why the mission and vision of our company is to make sports better. Fantasy sports is proven to increase sports engagement by 60% among sports fans.
Wow. That's fantastic. Everybody who's watching, please take note on how to make an elevator pitch for a company that's already become a unicorn. But also, everybody who's watching, if you've played Dream 11, if you've played on Dream 11 or at any point in time, please go ahead and write in the comments there. And from playing Dream 11 to maybe working at Dream 11, we want to switch gears over there.
Sure.
Actually, let's also take the elephant in the room, because unfortunately, for some odd reason, there is a certain perception that, online fantasy sports are quasi legal. Is it legal? Is it not legal? Is it allowed? Is it safe? And there's actually a member question right here. Rishabh Verma asks, this was not a thing few years back. Betting was morally wrong for whole country. How did it get approved for online platform? The fact that people still think there is something probably morally or legally wrong here, talks to how there's still a lot more education and awareness that needs to be done, considering this is such a brand new industry and sector.
I think if you look at most things which are on the entertainment segment, most of them can be morally wrong or opinionated to be legally wrong, morally wrong. Even if you look at some things like, let's say, I'm just thinking of examples here, the stock market, right? I think if you ask people like 10, 15 years ago, they'd be like, oh, ye to jua hai, right? Like this is all betting, gambling. People today will still say that putting money on the stock market is betting and gambling, but they couldn't be further from the truth, right? It is not just the driver of our economy, it has become the temple of our economy, right? It is the number one thing that everyone looks at to figure out how India's doing as a country in terms of GDP, in terms of our economy. Now, you can have an opinion, but that doesn't mean that the only person that can actually say right versus wrong legally is the Supreme Court of India. And so when this is proven fantasy sports has gone 3 times to the Supreme Court of India by 3 different cases, winning all 3 of them, where essentially they've held up the High Court judgments and said that fantasy sports is a game of skill. It is as not gambling or betting, and is a regular business activity. So I think people can have opinions, and you're welcome to opinions, but there's only one judge, if you excuse the pun, that can decide on legality in our country. And I think they've already decided that.
That's fantastic. Arnesh looks like a big fan of Dream11. He says people tend to disregard how much skill is required to win at Dream11. By no means it's a game of luck. You need to actually watch games, understand the sport, and then play. Thank you for the fantastic platform. I'm sure such positive fan mail is also something that you and team are inundated by. Let's switch gears. Like I said, from a lot of
Thank you, Arnesh. But yeah, thank you, Arnesh. But that's the whole point, right? Like, so Ankit, if you look at our platform, the average ticket size is about 35 rupees. More than 50% of people that participate every day win at least their money back. So it's
wow.
purely about engagement and just like having more fun watching the game. It is not about putting tons of money and then losing a lot potentially. In fact, we have a lot of responsible play initiatives, along with the fact that when we looked at our data, right, from 100 million people, 99.2%, I believe, 99.2% people have never in their life, in their lifetime, I'm not talking about like in one IPL or 1 year, in their lifetime, won or lost more than 10,000 rupees on our platform. And that goes to show you that it is purely about engagement, having fun. 80% of the people on our platform have never in their lifetime played for money. Yet we offer the entire platform free to play forever with no ads. This is really
Interesting.
about increasing sports engagement and adding value to the sports fan.
Absolutely. So it's a way of engaging and amplifying the sports viewing experience, the live tournament experience, rather
That's right.
than many other things that are claimed to be. Raj actually asks a beautiful question here, and it's something that's on my mind as well. How many female users does the platform have? Is there diversity in the user base? And I'm going to extend that question that Raj has presented by asking most of the gender of gaming, which is a much wider bucket anyway, right? It's very, very male centric. It's not just an India phenomenon, it's a global phenomenon. So against the backdrop of that, how does Dream11 user base, the 100 million users that you have, how does that fare? And extending that question, what is the kind of gender sort of balance in terms of talent that you have working at Dream11? And I believe you have close to 600 full-time employees as a part of Dream11 and Dream Sports. So if you could answer these two.
Yeah, happy to answer. So first of all, on the platform side, let me approach that first. We actually have been able to see a drastic change, right, from our user base. We used to have, I think, look, so every product goes through different phases, right? You have your early adopters, you have your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards, right? Now, early adopters in India for sports and especially cricket was always going to be male driven, right? So we had like 95 or 98% male audience for our initial years. What we've seen is very interesting as we've started growing in the last couple of years. The early adopters, which were the 18 to 40-year-old males in India, today account from have gone down from about 98% to about 75 to 80%. We've seen a phenomenal jump in 40 plus year old males and a huge jump in females playing on the platform. And I think this is because of the interactivity of the game, where at home you want to play with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. What happens is that people make groups and they play against each other. And because of that, even the girls would love to get involved. And I think it's a big stereotype. I think girls are super sports fans. I've met so many women athletes who we support as well. We have a Dream Sports Foundation. We support a lot of young athletes. They've won like I think, over 100 medals for our country now. And we've seen some phenomenal female athletes that can really be world champions. So I think not just on the playing part, but on our user base, females in India watching sports, consuming sports, and using sports engagement platforms is on the rise way more than male. In terms of our female Spartans, we like to call them. We don't like to call them employees, but it's Dream Sports, so we call them Spartans. And we've seen actually a pretty synergistic shift. I think about 5 years back we were like 95% plus male, and today out of 600 people, I believe we have over 10-15% female. I think we have about close to 100 females in our team, somewhere between 60 and 100. And so I think that that is also growing rapidly. But initially, in a sports company, sports tech gaming company, sorry, we were struggling to hire females. But as we've grown, we've seen that talent pool open up widely. And so we're really excited to keep increasing our diversity at work as well.
That's so good to hear. Quite promising. Thank you for that, Harsh. I'd like to know in 2020, while the stadiums had dried up and there were no sporting events happening, you did allude to it a little bit right at the outset. What you use the downtime, so to say, in 2024. But if you could elaborate that slightly on how was it as the CEO of a fantasy sports company, how was it to navigate these uncertain times, especially with the workforce that you have? What did you use the downtime for? At any point, were you in a place where you were like, oh my God, we may need to evaluate our workforce? Do we need to rationalize our workforce? Are there going to be any layoffs? Or were you completely optimistic and knowing fully well that, okay, 6 months, 10 months, 12 months down the line, we've got enough fuel in the engine, we'll keep going. And whenever live sporting events begin again, we'll be ready to fire full throttle. Take us through what was going through your mind then, and also through some of the employee initiatives, etc., that you utilize this time for.
Sure. I think that, look, it was a first for us. We've always been very focused on everyone under one roof. So we've always had that kind of culture at Dream Sports and Dream11. It was very new for us telling everyone to work from home the whole time, as I'm sure it was for like almost every company. And we had to quickly adapt and change. We had a very strong policy about like everything should be done in person, informally. We had to suddenly move to a more strict rigor on systems and processes, Zoom meetings, how to run Zoom meetings, how to write down every minute of the meeting, how to plan for meetings, all in writing. And so we also incorporated like a Monday.com, which is a productivity tool for the entire organization to be more systematic and streamlined. That helped a lot. But I think in terms of helping our Spartans, we did several things that will, just make their lives a little bit better. So we obviously wanted to make sure that we have very strong health insurance. So that is something that we first jumped into with COVID, making sure that people didn't have to worry about themselves or their direct family in case anyone got corona. If you get coronavirus, we didn't want it to be a taboo, right? It's okay, you have it, it's fine. We are here to take care of you. We're here to help in every way we can to get you back on your feet, back to, don't worry about that. So I think not just physically but also mentally, we also got like Santulan, which is an app which helps a lot with like confidential counseling services for people were stuck at home. They were going, you know mentally it's exhausting if you're stuck at home and you're not used to being there. And it's very important to have mental peace of mind as well. So we did that. We have a Mind House app which offers meditation and yoga. We also, like, our HR team was amazing at organizing like fun surprises every very regularly, from mango boxes to chocolates to like all kinds of goodies, surprise goodies, to keep everyone's morale high. We organize like weekly quiz contests, different kinds of like contests internally with prizes and giveaways. We extended our lunch break to 90 minutes every day is blocked out in everyone's calendar as a lunch break, so they have time to make their lunch and eat their lunch, right? That was very important because that's not something you're used to. And as usual, we have like weekly town halls so that people can directly ask me and Bhavit, our co-founder, anything they want in an anonymous manner if they please, so that we can answer directly. I think it's very important for us to stay in touch with everyone directly through this time and keep that communication very, very open and direct. So I think, and there were a couple of people to help them move out and be comfortable. And look, those are all the things we offered during these crazy times. In terms of recruiting, we actually decided this is the best time to recruit. So we hired about 250 people in 2020, which is almost doubling our workforce during the pandemic.
What led you
So
to do that? This was quite a counterintuitive move where everybody else was rationalizing their workforces. You were actually doubling down and adding talent.
because those people are still great. It's just that can your balance sheet and P&L, can you as a company afford to keep them on your rolls through those downtime, right? And we said, look, some great people are not going to be at work now anymore. This is our best time to recruit. It was purely like an opportunity for us to show the strength of our company by hiring aggressively, higher than ever before, during a time where other people were firing. So it was also something that we wanted to make sure the first thing we did, when COVID hit, was we told all, like we had about 300, 350 people that time. We told everyone, your jobs are 100% secure. Nobody is getting fired for COVID anytime. I think that was very important just to give people peace of mind as well.
That's fantastic. So encouraging to hear that, Harsh. Okay, Vikram has a fantastic question here, and I'm going to dive into the talent and the skills bit along with Vikram's question. He says this is purely a tech driven platform. Can you take us through a little more detail going forward? What kind of tech talent are you going to look for at your middle to senior level? That's one question from Vikram. And another sort of follow up question is by Raj Patel. It's on your screen as well. Being someone breaking into AI data industry, I would love to know what role does AI and data analytics play at Dream11? So clearly trying to figure out if AI, ML, big data, these kind of opportunities are there in terms of jobs at Dream11 and Dream Sports.
So, yeah, thanks for those questions. I look, we're a pure play product tech company, much more than most others out there because of the fact that we have no logistics, no delivery, no warehouse, no inventory, no sales, no ads, none of that, right? So it's pure play tech and product, which means that for us, good tech is the starting and the ending of our entire value as a company, right? So we're hiring very extensively with tech. We have about, like, I believe about 200 open positions today, in a company that's only 600 people, right? So it's like a third of our company we're adding on. And I think our philosophy has been to, in terms of, I'll answer the first question, in terms of senior, mid to senior level people, is always been about how are you open to new technologies. You're not just an expert in one technology and your like mindset is only there. You need to be open to working on new tech all the time, experimenting, trying different things. I think as you go from a junior to mid to senior, you need to move from more of an individual contributor and IC role to much more of leading teams, delegating, hiring great people and getting out of their way, putting down a vision, making sure that you're aligned with the company vision. And most important is culture, right? We are extremely culture driven. And so skill is something that you can pick up on the job, you can train, you can learn. Culture is something that is sacrosanct for us. And so as you start progressing to the mid and senior levels, culture is actually the most important thing to get right, along with your mindset of how you treat technology and how you're okay and how you have to come up with innovative solutions. Because the stuff we do at our scale, like we had 5.5 million concurrent users, this kind of concurrency is unheard of for transaction platforms in India, which cannot afford to have any kind of cache, right? Because it's not like a streaming or In OTT, you can still cache things. You can have things coming a little bit later, like a few seconds to a minute late. We can't. We have transactions, and when the deadline hits for a match, that's it. You can't have a single transaction after that. And so AI and data also play a huge role at our company. In fact, our company name is actually Sporta Technologies. That's because sports data technologies, right? Data is everything for us. And so AI and data and ML, AI is a very fancy word, right? But I think machine learning and data is something that we run the entire company on from start to finish. So we're always looking to hire good engineers and good engineers in AI/ML.
That's fantastic to hear. Where exactly does bulk of your hiring come from, Harsh? Is it your regular top tier IITs, NIITs, etc., or considering now most of the work has happened, has gone remote? There's two questions. Number one, hiring. When you're getting freshers, is it from established engineering institutions, or are you open to tier one, tier two talent as well? Tier one, tier two cities. And number two, what is the future of working at Dream11 like? I understand a huge impetus was given to people's proximity to living close to sports stadiums where they could actually physically go. And, those were some of the perks that you were offering to the employees at a certain point in time. But we have no idea when it's going to be safe to do that again, and with what frequency. So, two questions there. Where are you hiring from? What's your hiring outlook like towards freshers? And what is the future of work looking like for Sportans?
Sure. I think in terms of our hiring, while education, some of these top tier colleges having that helps for sure. We are in no way, none of our requirements demand that, and we in no way look only there, right? We are open to any kind of good tech talent. In fact, some of the best tech talent we have don't come from the most premium education institutions, right? Because they are people that can figure stuff out. And I think that's the most important um, characteristic to have, to be, technologically strong, not through education, but the hunger for learning and constantly evolving yourself is the most important part. I think you need to have the right skill set in terms of analytics and data driven decision making, but these are all soft skill sets that you need to develop. The educational background only gives us a filter that, okay, you have a certain amount of pedigree to have been selected in that college and to have made it out from there. You have a certain pedigree, but that's about it, right? Everyone goes through the same recruiting process. In terms of does that answer your first part of your question well?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does,
Yeah.
Harsh. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So in terms of the second part, I can go on and on about our culture. Would you like me to give you a few snippets about how we work and some?
Please do, actually. Please do. What is it like to work at Dream11? I mean, I understand it must have been
Sure.
way fancier considering you're saying everybody was under one roof and it was like one big pori that's happening all the time. But in a
Sports Mari.
distributed,
Yeah.
yes, sports pori,
So
but
so
in a
we actually have
distributed,
a, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
sorry,
go ahead.
in a distributed, decentralized, remote workplace reality, which is not what you had designed for originally, how has
Absolutely.
that culture pivoted and what is going to be the culture in the foreseeable future?
Yeah. So I think culture and perks and benefits all get jumbled up into a khichdi sometimes, right? Culture is what you have when no one's watching, when you're alone. That's what your culture is, right? It's your DNA. It's how you work. It has nothing to do with where you're working, with whom you're working, how you're working. It's about every single thing that you actually do. And so for us, we started out this journey of defining our culture, right? And we first had, like, as you would have guessed, 11 attributes, which nobody remembered. A year later, even I couldn't remember more than 8, 9 of them on demand. Then we brought it down to about 8 of them. No one remembered again. Then we brought it down to 5 and made an acronym. So we defined what are the strongest parts of our culture. And we said, okay, data driven, ownership driven, high performance, user first and transparency. So we said, do put our culture first. And that is the one line we expect everyone to remember. In
That's very
everything you
smart.
do, yeah, so in everything you do, you have to be data driven. You have to take data driven decisions. So it's like 99% data, 1% gut, right? You do have to take gut decisions sometimes, but for the most part, it has to be led by data. Ownership wise would be always about, we always frame our culture around the world's highest performing sports team. It's about being a team player. It's about saying, we succeeded, but I failed, right? It's about taking ownership. It's about this whole culture of saying that it's okay to fail. I think India as a society has this incredible stigma around failure because, when we're born, the only way we learn is through failure. You learn to walk by falling, you learn to swim by like almost drowning. Everything you learn is through failure. But suddenly, once we go through educational institutes and come out to professional work, failure becomes this taboo word. And people under promise and over deliver to get ahead in life, right? And so we have this huge push to tell people to stand up and say, I failed and I learned. And that is the only way I will succeed. And constantly failing and constantly learning is the only way we want our people to work.
That's such a
And so,
positive culture. That's a very positive culture. I actually, sorry to interrupt you. I want to butt in
yeah,
and I
sure,
want to
sure.
actually
Yeah,
ask you a personal question about failure because even the Facebook post that you, even the LinkedIn post that you wrote 9 months ago when you celebrated 12 years of your idea, if you could press the rewind button and go back and talk to us about what failure felt like for you when you were trying
yeah,
to build Dream 11 and there were rejections after rejections after rejections. Talk
yeah.
to us about that period, what kept you going, and what was your true north, and how did you cope with failure? Because people see that, Dream 11 today
Strong,
is a
yeah,
unicorn and Harsh Jain
yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
successful.
yeah,
But talk
yeah,
to us
yeah.
about
And
those dark periods.
look, those are very, very difficult times for every entrepreneur, and every entrepreneur that's made it has been through them, right? And they've made it because they've been through them. I think that there were like, look, we launched in 2009, we started 2008, and then by 2012, we figured out everything we'd done for the last 3 years was a waste of time apart from the learnings we had. So we have pivoted a whole product. 2012 to 14, we found product market fit, and I did 150 odd VC pitches, which were rejected. And somewhere around that 150 to 200, I met Vani Kola from Kalari Capital, who agreed to do a Series A along with Shashin Shah from Think Investments. And that started everything. But I can tell you, our Series C was the first time we actually closed the deal with the person who we signed the term sheet with. And so Series A, Series B, Series C, every fundraise is a mammoth, multiple failures leading to one, different learnings and then success, right? It never gets easier, right? You have to stay persistent. You have to have that drive in you, that passion in you to continue when all the other guys will fail and drop out. And I think persistence has the biggest attribute to play in success with learning. But you have to have the support of your friends and family, right? Like my wife Rachna, we've been together for like 18 years actually, 10 years married and 8 years dating before that. So we've been together since we were like 18 years old. And she joined me for the majority of those 150 VC pitches, which she would be waiting downstairs in the car or in a coffee shop. And if I came back home every day to someone that said, why are you doing this? Right? Everyone's saying no. It would eat away at me as well, right? But I had someone who would say, like, keep going, don't worry, we'll figure it out. My dad never forced me to join the family business. He told me, go figure it out yourself, do what you want. My mom has brought me up saying that, खुद को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा तुमसे पूछे बोल तेरी रजा क्या है. So it's always been about persistence, about freedom, about the support. My sister has always been a big, you know, you know, support for me. to constantly work and figure my own way out. So you need that support in your family. You can't make it without that. I believe I couldn't make it without that. And but you have to have your own self-driven persistence to just, when everybody says no, you still keep going.
That is so phenomenal. I'm getting goosebumps while I heard that. And I'm so glad for you and for Dream11 that you had this incredible support system. What you said makes so much sense, especially in today's environment where there are more questions than there are answers. For
Yeah,
careers that are going to be in demand, for skills that are going to be in demand, for sectors that will see a sunrise uptake. Some of them may get sunsetted, skills may get sunsetted. What
yeah.
do you have in terms of a message for youngsters who are graduating out of colleges? And we know we have millions of engineers passing out every year from
Sure.
India. What would you like to tell them in terms of staying relevant to new sectors, staying open mentally to new opportunities such as online fantasy sports, and what personality traits, if you may, you would like them to focus on so they can be employable?
I think A, please don't jump into something just because it's hot, right? If you're not passionate about it, don't just do it because it's like the new cool thing which you can get a job with, right? You that will very very soon be discovered that you're not actually very very good at this. You just started doing it because it was something that could help you get employed or something cool, something hot. You have to work in areas which drive you, where you're super passionate about, just like entrepreneurs, right? Because there will be ups and downs, there will be cycles, but you have to A, work on things that you're passionate about, work on languages, work on technologies that you are very interested in, that you can develop a unique skill set in. And two, be super versatile. Keep changing, adapting, growing, because especially in tech, technology's changed like literally every 2 years now. Every year we're playing around with different tech, and we would like to have people that have the ability to move and jump around and keep your fundamentals strong, right? That is the most important. Your fundamentals will help you your whole life as you move from different technologies from one to the other. I think also, very importantly, give back to the tech and ecosystem, contribute, go online, work on, write about things, blog. These are all like things which show pure passion about what you do, and you're willing to share and learn. That's what we're really looking for. The ability to constantly learn and unlearn is really the key to growing and adapting in these crazy tech times where things keep changing every day. Please don't get fixed to one thing and just because it's hot, and just keep working on that, because there's going to be 100 other people that are super passionate about that will always be better than you in that.
That's fantastic advice. There's no point in trend jacking, I believe, is the term
Yeah,
that you said. Okay, last question for you from the business perspective. What is
sure.
2021, 2022 looking like for Dream11? Now that the world is sort of opening up, we are, of course, at the brink of IPL 2021 starting again. What is it? What is Dream11 strategy for this year and next year? Are you going to spread broader in terms of more and more different kinds of sporting events that Dream11 is going to enable for the players? And so, what's the strategy from a consumer point of view and from a business point of view?
So I think from a consumer and business point of view, for me it's the same, because adding value to users is the only thing that we look at. Adding value to sports fans, how to make sports better for them. Business for me is a lagging indicator of a value, a product that creates value. Revenue, EBITDA, PAT, all of this is lagging indicators. You have to just create value to sports fans. And so I think for me, the for 2021, we're constantly looking at obviously innovating on Dream11 and adding new features, innovative ones, which will constantly help users get more sports engagement on our platform, on the sports they love, more personalization, um, you know, but I think that more localization as well on Dream11. But we already have 11 spots on Dream11 that we cover. So I don't think there's that much more impact we can make on adding new spots. It's more about personalizing the whole journey for you, knowing which spots you like, which matches you like, which players you like, and being able to personalize that entire product offering for you, along with the fact that we're a sports tech company. So we've now made investments or incubated um, like Fan Code, which now focuses on sports content, personalized sports content, and contextual sports commerce along with statistics. We have Dream Set Go, which provides sports experiences like travel and tourism for you to go and travel and watch your favorite match and have experiences in sports like never before. We have Dream Pay, which is a group payment solution provider. We have Dream Set Go. Sorry, I already spoke about that. We have Dream Sports Investments, which does large ticket M&A in the sports industry. We have Dream X, which is a venture capital provider. So they incubate and accelerate young businesses in sports and help them grow. All of these put together along with our Dream Sports Foundation, where we do a lot of sports CSR, is what we're looking to grow. We have investments that we'll be announcing soon in the sports IoT space, in the esports segment, in helping people play sports more in a systematic way offline, like in real life, in terms of astroturfs and managing clubs and leagues and scoring in your building, wherever you're playing, helping you make sports better. So, this is everything that we're looking for in 2021.
That sounds incredibly exciting and infinite opportunities over there, right? To add a layer of tech for enriching sports experience is literally the sky's the limit for those possibilities. Harsh, Jain, thank you so much for making time in your precious schedule. I understand it's all hands on deck as the run up to IPL begins. And congrats for the incredible success to you and Team Dream11 and Dream Sports.
No, thank you. And I would strongly encourage anyone out here who's also looking, since we're on LinkedIn, I'm going to make a shameless plug here that please check out jobs and careers page. We have a lot of openings and we're really looking for top talent, and some of our perks and benefits are very, very unique, right? Like we offer a thing called proximity benefit, where we actually pay 67%, like two-thirds of your rent, because we know rent is a problem in Bombay. So for anyone here, if you stay within half an hour of our office premise, which we call stadium, then we pay two-thirds of your rent. And so I think these are the kind of unique benefits that everyone has to look at, that that makes travel less, that helps people be more efficient, and that really takes care of people. So I think that please check out our page and see if you're looking for working in anything to do with sports, and if you're happy to have 600 crazy sports fans around you, then have a look at Dream11 and Dream Sports.
Started with an elevator pitch and closing with one. That's true Harsh Jain style. Thank you so much for that, Harsh.
Thanks a lot, Ankit.
Great chatting with you. All the best.
Thanks, Ankit. Take care. See you. Thank you for having.
Thank you, Harsh. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another fun guest and a very, very insightful conversation there with Harsh Jain, CEO and co-founder of Dream11 and Dream Sports. Subscribe to Get Hired India, which is Dipti Jain's newsletter that talks about the latest trends. The QR code that you see on your screen, you can just scan that and you can subscribe to the newsletter. And as always, stay tuned to LinkedIn News India for the latest in trends and news for the professional world. This is Ankit Vengrulekar signing out for now. Have a great day.